The following outline is provided as an overview of and topical guide to evolution. Evolution, change in heritable traits of biological organisms over generations due to natural selection, mutation, gene flow, and genetic drift. Also known as descent with modification. Over time, these evolutionary processes lead to formation of new species, changes within lineages, and loss of species. Evolution is also another name for evolutionary biology, the subfield of biology concerned with studying evolutionary processes that produce the diversity of life on Earth. Fundamentals about evolution. Introduction to evolution. Non-technical introduction. Evolution. More technical introduction. Evolution as fact and theory. Basis for scientific acceptance is theory based on fact. Basic principles. Macroevolution, change above level of species, including speciation, evolutionary process by which new biological species arise. Natural speciation. Allopatric speciation, speciation that occurs after biological populations become isolated from each other. Parapatric speciation, speciation that occurs in biological populations with adjacent ranges. Parapatric speciation, speciation that occurs in biological populations with adjacent, but not significantly overlapping ranges. Sympatric speciation, speciation that occurs in biological populations that inhabit the same geographic region. Artificial speciation, animal husbandry, management and care of farm animals, typically involving selective breeding, plant breeding, selective breeding of plants to produce desired characteristics, genetic engineering, direct manipulation of an organism's genome using biotechnology. Hybrid speciation, speciation wherein hybridization between two different species leads to a new species. Despeciation, loss of a unique species due to combining with another previously distinct species. Anagenesis, changes in a lineage that result in a new morphospecies distinct in form from an ancestral species. Extinction, end of a lineage such that there are no longer living populations of a species. Microevolution, change within species or populations, due to mutation, selection, gene flow, and genetic drift. Artificial selection, the process by which humans increase particular traits in a lineage or population by choosing which individuals have offspring together. Natural selection, differential survival and reproduction of individuals due to differences in heritable traits. A key mechanism of evolution. Sexual selection, a mode of natural selection wherein members of one gender choose mates of the other gender to mate with, resulting in distinct gender-based differences. Mutation, a permanent change of the genome of an organism. A key mechanism of evolution. Gene flow, movement of genes from one population to another. Genetic drift, change in frequency of a gene variant in a population due to random sampling. Subfield. Biogeography, the study of distribution of species and ecosystems in geographic space and through geological time. Ecological genetics, the study of genetics in natural populations. Evolutionary biology, study of the evolutionary processes that produce the diversity of life on Earth. More specifically, it studies the descent of species, and the origin of new species. Evolutionary developmental biology, the study of developmental processes to determine the ancestral relationships and discover how developmental processes evolved. Evolutionary ecology, the study of ecology with explicit consideration of evolutionary histories of species. Or conversely, the study of evolution that incorporates an understanding of ecological interactions between the species. Evolutionary physiology, the study of changes in functional characteristics over generations as the result of selection. Evolutionary taxonomy, branch of biological classification that classifies organisms based on phylogenetic relationship, progenitor-descendant relationship, and degree of evolutionary change. Experimental evolution, study of evolution using controlled experiments to test hypotheses and theories. Molecular evolution, study of change in sequence composition of cellular molecules such as DNA, RNA, and proteins across generations. Phylogenetics, study of evolutionary history, development, and relationships among groups of organisms. Population genetics, study of distribution and change in frequency of alleles within populations. Paleontology, study of evolution of life based on the fossil record. Paleovirology, study of ancient viruses based on fossil viruses. Timeline of paleontology, summary of key dates and events in the history of paleontology. Systematics, study of diversification of living forms, both past and present, and relationships among living organisms through time. History. Charles Darwin, English naturalist and geologist, best known for his contributions to evolutionary theory. On the Origin of Species, work of scientific literature by Charles Darwin, considered to be foundation of evolutionary biology. Caricatures of Charles Darwin and his evolutionary theory in 19th-century England, artistic depictions concerning Charles Darwin and evolutionary theory. History of evolutionary thought, historical account of evolutionary thought from antiquity through present, by period or event. Evolutionary ideas of the Renaissance and Enlightenment. Transmutation of species. 1860 Oxford Evolution Debate. The Eclipse of Darwinism. Evolutionary Progress. Scopes Trial. Modern Evolutionary Synthesis. 20th Century Synthesis of ideas from various fields of biology to provide the widely accepted account of evolution. Current research. By field. Evolutionary Developmental Biology. History of Evolutionary Psychology. History of Molecular Evolution. History of Paleontology. Social effective evolutionary theory. Evolutionary theory and modeling. See also Basic principles. Population genetics. Population genetics. Process mutation selection, natural selection, sexual selection, artificial selection, ecological selection, gene flow, genetic drift, small population size, population bottleneck, founder effect, coalescent theory. Variation, genetic diversity, gene frequency, polymorphism. Key concepts: Hardy-Weinberg law, genetic linkage, identity by descent, linkage, disequilibrium, Fisher's fundamental theorem, neutral theory, shifting, balance theory, price equation, coefficient of relationship, fitness, heritability. Effects of selection, genetic hitchhiking, negative selection. Related topics: microevolution, evolutionary game theory, fitness landscape, genetic genealogy, quantitative genetics. Branch of population genetics that deals with phenotypes which vary continuously. Evolutionary phenomena, adaptation, adaptive radiation, coevolution, concerted evolution. Convergent evolution. List of examples of convergent evolution. Divergent evolution. Divergent evolution in animals. Evolution of aging. Evolution of biological complexity. Evolution of multicellularity. Evolution of photosynthesis. Evolution of sexual reproduction. Evolutionary arms race. Evolutionary capacitance. Evolutionary fauna. Evolutionary logic. Evolutionary pressure. Evolutionary radiation. Evolutionary trap. Evolutionary suicide. Evolvability, capacity of a system for adaptive evolution. Beneficial mutations are always rare, but if they're too rare, then adaptation cannot occur. Biological genomes are structured in ways that make beneficial changes less unlikely than they would otherwise be. Evolution has created not just fitter organisms, but populations of organisms that are better able to evolve. Extinction. Fitness, inclusive fitness, kin selection, reproductive success. Horizontal evolution. Horizontal gene transfer in evolution. human evolution, inversion, mosaic evolution, parallel evolution, quantum evolution, genetic recombination, recurrent evolution, robustness, speciation, modeling emergent evolution, epoch of evolution, evolution window, evolutionary dynamics, evolutionary game theory, evolutionary graph theory, evolutionary invasion analysis, largest scale trends in evolution, taxonomy, systematics, and phylogeny. Fundamentals, taxonomy, alpha taxonomy, biological classification, binomial nomenclature, evolutionary taxonomy, catalogue of life, homonym, integrated taxonomic information system, international code of zoological nomenclature, international code of nomenclature for algae, fungi, and plants, linear taxonomy, phonetics, species 2000, taxon, taxonomic rank type, species description, systematics, study of diversification of living forms, both past and present, cladogram, phylogenetic tree, phylogenetics, cladistics, computational phylogenetics, common descent, how different lineages of organisms share a most recent common ancestor, evidence of common descent, evolutionary grade lineage, molecular phylogenetics, most recent common ancestor, most recent individual from which all organisms in a group have directly descended, basic concepts of phylogenetics, phylogenetic tree, phylogenetic network, long branch attraction, clade versus grade, ghost lineage, inference methods, maximum parsimony, minimum evolution, probabilistic methods, maximum likelihood, Bayesian inference, distance matrices in phylogeny, neighbor joining, UPGMA, least squares, inference in phylogeny, 3 taxon analysis, current topics, phylocode, DNA barcoding, molecular phylogenetics, phylogenetic comparative methods, phylogenetic network, phylogenetic niche, conservatism, list of phylogenetics software, phylogenomics, phylogeography, DNA phylogeny, group traits, simpliciomorphy, apomorphy, synapomorphy, or taupomorphy, group types, monophyly, paraphyly, polyphyly, evolution of biodiversity. Biodiversity, variety of different types of life found on the Earth and the variations within species. It is a measure of the variety of organisms present in different ecosystems. This can refer to genetic variation, ecosystem variation, or species variation within an area, biome, or planet. Terrestrial biodiversity tends to be greater near the equator, which seems to be the result of the warm climate and high primary productivity. Biodiversity is not distributed evenly on Earth. It is richest in the tropics. Marine biodiversity tends to be highest along coasts in the western Pacific, where sea surface temperature is highest, and in the mid-latitudinal band in all oceans. Origin and evolutionary history of life, abiogenesis. Evolutionary history of life, outline of major events during evolution of life on Earth. Timeline of evolutionary history of life, more concise outline. Evolution of organisms, evolution of tetrapods, evolution of tetrapods, evolution of dinosaurs, evolution of birds, evolution of mammals, evolution of cetaceans, evolution of horses, evolution of primates, evolution of humans, evolution of human intelligence, human evolutionary genetics, sexual selection. In human evolution, timeline of human evolution, evolution of lemurs, evolution of sirenians, evolution of reptiles, evolution of other animals, evolution of brachiopods, evolution of cephalopods, evolution of fish, evolution of insects, evolution of butterflies, peppered moth, evolution of mollusks, evolution of spiders, evolution of plants, evolutionary anachronism, plant evolutionary developmental biology, timeline of plant evolution, evolution of other taxa, evolution of fungi, evolution of viruses, evolution of influenza, E. coli, long-term evolution experiment, evolution of cells, organs, and systems, evolution of cells, evolution of flagella, evolution of mammalian auditory ossicles, evolution of nervous systems, evolution of snake venom, evolution of the brain, evolution of the eye, evolution of color vision in primates, immune system, evolution of metabolism, evolution of molecules and genes, directed evolution, error threshold, evolution of DNA, evolution of dominance, gene-centered view of evolution, genome evolution, hologenome theory of evolution, molecular evolution, history of molecular evolution, neutral theory of molecular evolution, nearly neutral theory of molecular evolution, neutral network, RNA-based evolution, evolution of behavior cooperation, evolution of biparental care in tropical frogs, evolution of emotion, empathy, #evolution of empathy, evolution of eusociality, monogamous pairing in animals, reciprocal altruism, reciprocity, evolution of other processes, evolution of aging and mortality, origin of programmed cell death, origin of avian flight, evolution of biological complexity, mosaic evolution, evolution of multicellularity, evolution of sexual reproduction, mating types, gamete differentiation, sexes, sex determination, life cycles, nuclear phases, applications in other disciplines, applications of evolution, practical applications in fields such as ecology, artificial intelligence, medicine, and computer science, biological anthropology, evolutionary aesthetics, evolutionary anthropology, evolutionary computation, evolutionary economics, Kenneth Boulding's evolutionary perspective, evolutionary epistemology, evolutionary ethics, evolutionary linguistics, evolutionary medicine, evolutionary neuroscience, evolutionary psychology, biosocial criminology, criticism of evolutionary psychology, evolution of morality, evolution of schizophrenia, evolutionary aesthetics, evolutionary approaches to depression, evolutionary developmental psychology, evolutionary developmental psychopathology, evolutionary educational psychology, evolutionary ethics, evolutionary leadership theory, evolutionary musicology, evolutionary origin of religions, evolutionary psychology of language, evolutionary psychology of parenting, evolutionary psychology of religion, theoretical foundations of evolutionary psychology, universal Darwinism, evolutionary issues, controversy about evolution, evolution controversy, criticism of evolutionary psychology, evolutionary argument against naturalism, level of support for evolution, objections to evolution, social effects of evolutionary theory, theology of creationism and evolution, religious and philosophical views of evolution, acceptance of evolution by religious groups, atheistic evolution, conscious evolution, Buddhism and evolution, Catholic Church and evolution, Hindu views on evolution, Islamic views on evolution, Ahmadiyya views on evolution, Jewish views on evolution, Mormon views on evolution, theistic evolution, influence of evolutionary theory, social effects of evolutionary theory and the political left. See also applications in other disciplines. Publications and organizations concerning evolution. Books. Evolution, The Modern Synthesis, book by Julian Huxley, one of most important books of modern evolutionary synthesis, published in 1942. The Genetical Theory of Natural Selection, book by R.A. Fisher, important in modern evolutionary synthesis, first published in 1930. Genetics and the Origin of Species, 1937, book by Ukrainian-American evolutionary biologist Theodore Siestobzhansky. On the Origin of Species, seminal book by Charles Darwin concerning evolution by natural selection, first published in 1859. Systematics and the Origin of Species from the Viewpoint of a Zoologist, book by zoologist and evolutionary biologist Ernst Mayr. Canonical publication of modern evolutionary synthesis, first published in 1942 by Columbia University Press. The Structure of Evolutionary Theory, technical book on macroevolutionary theory by the Harvard paleontologist Stephen Jay Gould. Evolutionary Biology. Journals Evolution, monthly scientific journal published by the Society for Study of Evolution. Evolutionary Anthropology. Evolutionary Psychology. Journal of Evolutionary Biology. Journal of Zoological Systematics and Evolutionary Research. Trends in Ecology and Evolution, Elsevier Journal of Review articles about ecology and evolution. Organizations: European Society for Evolutionary Biology, Society for the Study of Evolution, Evolutionary Psychology Research Groups and Centers. IM. Sekharov Institute of Evolutionary Physiology and Biochemistry. Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology. Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Biology. National Evolutionary Synthesis Center. Systematic and Evolutionary Biogeography Association. Evolutionary Informatics Lab. Evolution Scholars and Researchers. List of evolutionary psychologists. List of members of the National Academy of Sciences. Prominent evolutionary biologists: Charles Darwin, Theodore Dobzhansky, Richard Dawkins, Stephen Jay Gould, J.B. S. Haldane, Julian Huxley, Thomas Henry Huxley, Ronald Fisher, Ernst Mayr, Sewell Wright.